What's going on, fellow theorists? Welcome back to Theory Hammer. I am KevBot, and today we are going over another Tactica review. We're going to take a look at the Genestealer cult. We're going to steal your genes right out from under you, or something like that. Anyway, if you like this kind of content, infect the like button, subscribe to Theory Hammer, leave a comment down below, hit Nurgle's bell icon, and then check out our other videos as well. We got all kinds of content, and we got more on the way. I'm going to start this off by saying, I've played against them a lot, and my god, this army makes me want to flip tables because of how it works. It's so sneaky, and it's like, it just comes in, it does shit that other armies can't do, it just kills your stuff with like these lasers and these chainsaws, and you're like, why is this Imperial Guard squad able to kill me, and why do you have 100 of them? This is unfair. Why can all your stuff deep strike? What is this bullshit? And so, continuing the trend of being the most frustrating army to play against in this entire game, the Genestealers hit 10th edition hard. They were awesome when they first dropped. They got a slight nerf. Well, they got a pretty big nerf, let's be honest. But their army is still really good, and if you're one of those players that's really good with playing Genestealers, then I could totally see this taking down GT. Because the way their army works is anytime you kill one of their units, it can come back to life on a 5-up. And you add 1 to that roll if it's Battleline and if it's turns 1 and 2. So if you're taking a ton of Battleline stuff, a lot of that shit's coming back to life. And even if it's not Battleline stuff, even if it's not past, or even if it's not turn 1 or 2, you still have that 5-up chance to get it back. What I can tell you about the Genestealer cults is they play in a very, very weird way. They take a lot of finesse because their units are actually paper thin, unlike Eldar, where I call them glass cannons. The Genestealer cult is literally a glass cannon. You're playing with guardsmen that punch with the power of a tank. So when you've got that much power that you can swing around in combat with these little tiny units of really, really cheap guys, oh man, every single one of your units is a missile. And the way the army actually plays is it's trying to be sneaky. It's trying to emulate the idea of guerrilla warfare. And so they have these little tokens they place around the table, and those are your cult ambush tokens. And so when you put guys onto the table that are in cold ambush, they have to be in near these tokens. The tokens get removed if your opponent gets, I think, within 9 of it, maybe 12, I'm pretty sure it's 9. It's right up on screen anyway. And they're just pretty cool. So they can be jumping around the table, putting these little markers down, you can be jumping out of these markers, you can just be doing all this cool stuff, hitting people with these little units of just insane combat. They play the game really well because of that. They're able to get around the table, and they're able to get objectives. And because their units are expendable, like almost all of them for the most part, you can do these secondary objectives with a lot of their different units. It's just really, really tricksy. You got hordes of guys that come back. But like I said, super finessey. You gotta pick your targets well, because your shit will die to a gust of wind if you leave it out in the open. So when you come in there, when you are getting out of the wall that you're behind and you're charging through that wall, that thing that you're charging needs to die. Because you know the next turn, that unit's gonna die in return. Unless you do some cool thing where you can wrap somebody up and they don't fall back or something like that, then fine. But generally, you guys know what I'm saying. So that's how the army kind of plays, is it's gonna be all around the table all the time. Things are gonna be respawning, going back into reserve, and it's gonna make your opponent very, very upset very, very quickly. Because when they start losing units and then they kill yours, you're like, damn, you just killed my Land Raider with that unit of 10 guys there. All right, well, let's shoot a Rhino Storm Bolter at them, and I killed the whole squad somehow. Cool, great, they're dead. Oh wait, they come back to life? Are you fucking kidding me? So next turn, you're just gonna put them back down on the table, and they're just gonna charge me again, and I'm just gonna lose another Land Raider? And then I'm just over here nodding, yes, that's what will happen. So that's how the army plays. It's, it's not a guarantee that that happens, but that's kind of the idea, is that you can just have all these little guys that are sneaking around, hitting your opponent from angles they weren't expecting and doing things that they weren't expecting to really throw off their game plan. That's their whole fucking shtick, is throwing off the opponent's game plan. They've been planning this battle for 100 years, and it's finally taken place. And now that it is, they gotta win. So yeah, super good at playing the game. They got lots of units they can just throw away because they're likely to just come back anyway. They hit absolute trains in combat. They're good at getting objectives. You can give 2 units +1 to wound, that's fucking awesome. You can deep strike within 3. You can give stuff like +1 AP and lone operatives, like you can make a whole unit untargetable with that. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do with this army. A whole bunch of game stuff that makes them just really, really good. But, like I said, glass cannons. If you don't know what you're doing, if you're just playing with your guys, you're new to Genestealer cults, you're gonna have a rough time with it. But keep it up, keep playing them, because they are really good, and if you start learning how their tricks work better and better, and start getting better at the game, and using the game mechanics to your advantage, that's when Genestealers start to fuck. They don't got a lot of shooting though, so it's mainly just a bunch of combat stuff. They do have shooting, like every army has shooting. So you're just gonna take a hand flamer on every guy, they're gonna deep strike down, and they're just gonna flame through a bunch of different units. And you can do this with like a bunch of different squads of guys. So you could have like 2 units come down with 10 flamers, or it might be actually 9, but pretty sure it's 10. 10 flamers, 20 flamers, there you go. Killed a whole unit of guardsmen, now I get to charge their tank. Cool stuff, right? I think it's pretty good. I think that that is pretty good. Very hard to play. Now let's talk about some of the units that you're gonna wanna use, or that you're gonna see if you're fighting against them. The first one that I've put on this list here, and this isn't like a tier list or anything, this is just the units that are good, why they're good, how they're good, how you want to use them, summary of that. So the Saboteur, he has 65 points. He's got Deep Strike, he's got Lone Operative, he got Infiltrate, so he can just do all the things. But yo, this guy's crazy good. He can throw grenades for free, even if it's already been used. But you can only do it on one of them per like turn. So if you have 3 Saboteurs, they can't each throw a grenade, like Death Guard can. They have another ability. On a 2+, they do D3 plus 3 mortal wounds if a unit moves within 12 inches of them. Now, if you remember from like 30 seconds ago when I said that they had Lone Op, that means that you have to get within 12 inches of them in order to actually target them. And so when you do that, they throw out at least 4 mortal wounds at you. Like, it's hilarious. What is this thing? They have a demo charge, because why the fuck not? Hits on 2s, because why the fuck not? It's D6 plus 3 shots, it's a blast weapon, strength 12, AP 2, and 2 damage, and then it's got these remote explosive things. This thing has 2 guns. So the remote explosives are just D6 plus 3 indirects. You know, they're strength 5, cool, whatever. Not the greatest thing, but just the fact that you can throw grenades, actually do this grenade thing where if you move near him, he just grenades you, and just grenades, just a ton of damage from this guy. Deep strikes down, and he makes your day. He just ruins your day. The single fucking guy. So he's awesome. You probably just need 1 of them, maybe 2, but I would be very surprised if you don't see the Reductus Saboteur, or if you don't take the Reductus Saboteur, because he's just so fucking good. Another pretty good character that they have is the Abominant. This guy is 75 points. He gives the unit sustained hits, so your aberrants that he's going to be leading, gives them sustained hits. So anytime that they roll a 6 to hit, they get an extra attack that auto hits. So that's awesome. Now this thing is pretty damn durable. It's toughness 6, it's got 5 wounds, and it's got a 4-up feel no pain. And then when you finally kill this damn thing, after you've killed all the guys in his squad, it comes back to life on a 2-up. So great unit, dude. It's got 3 attacks with like a strength 12 hammer thing. It's strength 12, AP 2, and D6 plus 1 damage. I'll take one of these all day long. They got deep strike. Like, what are you gonna do? This thing's gonna deep strike down with a unit of aberrants, and if you don't kill the whole squad, they're gonna smash your face. And then on a 5-up, they might just come back to life. So let's just talk about the aberrants for a second. They are super durable, and they hit really hard. They're toughness 6, they've got 3 wounds, and they have a 4-up feel no pain. And they're -1 to wound if you have a leader with them. So anything that's strength 6 or higher, that's gonna be -1 to wound them. And so you're mostly gonna be wounding them on 4s. The only thing that's gonna be wounding them on 3s is something that's higher than strength 12, because they're toughness 6. Each one of these stupid things has a heavy power weapon. It's a power fist, basically. It's strength 8, AP 2, but it's damage 3, and they have 3 attacks each with these things. They're really expensive though. They're 370 points for 10, so they're 37 points a model. But Jesus Christ, are they hard to remove. -1 to wound, 4-up feel no pain, toughness 6. Like, get out of here, bro. And then that Abominant with them, oh baby, if those things get into combat with you, it's not gonna be a fun time. Not at all. All right, so this thing, right? The Ridge Runner. It's insane. Here's why it's insane. It's 85 points. It scouts 9 inches, so automatically it's a unit that scouts. It's 85 points. It's toughness 7 with 8 wounds. It has an indirect gun. Its upgrade, take away your cover if it hits you, and its ability makes everything else that shoots that same target plus 1 AP. So it's basically giving you plus 2 AP. It seems pretty fucking good. You would probably take 2 of these things, at least. Maybe 3. Because the fact that they can shoot you from out of line of sight, yeah, they're going to be hitting on 5s, but they have enough shots where it shouldn't matter. It's D6 plus 3 shots, so you're getting a minimum of 4, and then out of those 4 dice, you should get at least 1 hit. And the hit itself doesn't matter. It's just the fact that it hit you, now I take away your cover, now you're plus 1 to attack them. All those flamers, they're plus 1 AP. Now you have strength 3 AP 1 flamers going into whatever you were shooting at. So that's just awesome. These things are crazy. They can scout 9. Take 3 of them. Please take 3 of them. They're super duper good. The Jackals can also scout 9. They do not have deep strike, but basically everyone else in the army has it. And you get like 90 points. You get 5 of these things. They're just a great secondary unit. They can scout up, so then they can get in people's way. You know, turn 1, they can move 9, and then they can advance up and try to get onto objectives or get into your opponent's deployment zone or those types of things. Unfortunately, they do not have any assault weapons, but still, being able to just scout 9 and then move up 12 is real good. And for 90 points, cheap little unit, they can come back to life, they can take a mining laser. Overall, they're probably not like the best unit in the index, but at this point, you should know that having scout is great. And if you thought that was it, that's not it, because hybrid metamorphs, they also have scout 6 inches. So you can actually take these in units of 5, so it's a really good secondary unit. They're expensive like everything else. They're 80 points for 5 of them, but hey, I'll take it. They're actually good in combat. They can all take flamers. They're good at doing secondary objectives, and that's all we really need. Their combat is interesting. They have 3 attacks apiece at strength 5, AP 1, and damage 2. So, I mean, that's actually pretty good. And then they fight on death, too. So they're not a bad unit. Acolyte hybrids are an interesting choice as well. These guys, their ability is that they reroll hits of 1. If the target is on objective, they reroll wounds of 1. It's 170 for 10 of them, and they're Battleline, so they can come back on a 3-up. And these are the guys that you need to look out for. These things can take 2 mining tools per 5. And these are the things that are going to hit you like an absolute truck, and you're going to feel real bad. The mining tools, 2 attacks on 3s, strength 10, AP 2, and damage 3. So that's going to be a total of 8 attacks at strength 10, AP 2, and damage 3. Rerolling hits of 1, rerolling wounds of 1. As a Battleline unit that can come back to life with deep strike. That is awesome. And if you really want to, you can give them +1 to wound, which you kind of want to. So this unit of Acolyte hybrids is going to come down out of deep strike or out of cold ambush or just be there. They're just going to charge through a wall or something if you're playing them right, and they are just going to fuck a unit up. That's the normal state of play. And then everybody who's not rocking a power hammer has claws and a knife. That's going to be 3 attacks of strength 4, AP 1. You know what I mean? Like, these things are awesome. The cult leader, he's going to have 5 attacks, strength 2, AP 1. Everything's going to be +1 to wound if you need it to be. And that's pretty dope. They all have hand flamers, except for the guys with the mining tools. So that's going to be 6 of those. You're definitely going to see these in armies, and I would highly recommend that you play with them, because if I wrote an army list, they would definitely be in there. Some other Battleline guys that you got are your Neophyte hybrids, and these are bigger squads. They come in units of 10 to 20. 180 points for 20, you know, Battleline, so coming back on a 3-up, as long as it's turns 1 or 2. You can take 4 lasers and 4 basically flamers or dev wound flamers for 20. Gives you a CP on a 4+ if they're on an objective. Not a bad little unit, although 9 points apiece, the fact that it can come back to life makes it okay. And so you might see some of these on the table as well, just taking up space because they are OC too, as are the Acolyte hybrids. And so a big blob of these guys is 40 OC. If you really need to, you can deep strike within 3 inches, especially coming out of cold ambush. And so those guys definitely have a lot of play. Come down, shoot some lasers at +2 AP basically because it ignores cover. Maybe give them +1 to wound if you need to. Like, bro, that's gonna absolutely murder something. Take 2 of these things. Because that stratagem that you can get +1 to wound with units, you can actually pick 2 units. So you pick 2 of these units with laser beams. Those laser beams shoot a land raider. It's gonna be +1 AP and ignores cover. So the +1 AP is ignored by Armor of Contempt. The cover I just ignore anyway because of these Ridge Runners that are in the backfield just giving me +1 AP and ignores cover. And I'm going to blow your Land Raider up with +1 to wound with these 8 las cannon shots. So really, really awesome units that can actually put out an insane amount of damage. In combat, they're complete garbage. They're just guardsmen, but their shooting is awesome because your army actually has a couple of units that make your shooting good. Ignores cover, +1 AP, +1 to wound, those are all things that are good. And I think the Primus, or some other character, probably has the captain ability for stratagems. That would be my guess. But we actually don't need to guess, because I actually wrote it down for this video. It's the Nexos. Auto take. This thing is an auto take, guys. He can lead acolytes, hybrids, or neophytes, so probably stick him with neophytes just to keep him safe. He's 60 fucking points. I would pay 60 points for a nobody, just like a relic that says you have the captain stratagem ability where you can get them for free. Like, bet, cost me 60 points. What are the stratagems that I have? Oh, they're all good? Seems good. We're gonna do that. And so, not only do you get that, this guy also lets you select a cult ambush marker that's on the battlefield and move it at the start of each player's command phase. So you can move it 6 inches. So if it's too close to your opponent, move it back. If it's not close enough, move it up. Great things. Good things are awesome, and I like good things. Nexos is a good thing. His stats are nothing to write home about, but that's not what he's there for. He's there to just be stupid and give his unit free strats. His unit and another unit by extension. Now, the Primus is pretty good. He lets you redeploy 3 units after deployment, so before you roll for who goes first, but those abilities are still good, because if you're playing the right way, I think the way that you do this is 2 different ways. Either you deploy stupidly on purpose, that way your opponent is like, okay, well, I'm gonna put these things over here to try to deal with that. That's a way to really fuck your opponent up, because then you get to redeploy them, even though you don't know who's going first yet. You're gonna go, okay, I'm gonna move these to like the complete other side of the table, and now your opponent's out of position whether or not he went first. Or she. He is 90 points though, but he also gives full rerolls to the unit that he's with. Now, things like your Nexos, they can actually be attached to units even if you already have a Primus or like a Magus or someone like that already attached to it, like one of your main characters. So these guys can actually take 2 of them. You can take a Primus, get reroll hits on 1 unit, and be able to redeploy 3 units, and have a Nexos in that squad so that your 2 units of neophyte hybrids get free +1 to wound and reroll hits on 1 of them. Really strong for 180 points, tons of bodies, not a whole lot of durability, but 40 OC, deep striking around, it's just great. That is definitely a good unit that you will see and that you'll want to take, and that's kind of it though. I mean, really, there's not many other good units that I would put on the list. The Rock Grinder is pretty cool because its abilities are interesting. When it ends a charge move, it does mortal wounds to stuff, kind of like tank shocks for free. And its melee is actually pretty good because it's got this like strength 10 thing on it. It's like 6 attacks with strength 10 with sustained hits. It's not bad. And it also has guns. Not that its guns are any good, but it does have them. The best gun that it has is probably its demo charge because it has assault and it's just hilarious. It's strength 12, AP 2, and damage 2. So if you're getting +1 AP and that ignores cover, it's only hitting on 5s, but it also has blast. So it's a few shots coming out of that as well. Overall, it's not really a great unit. I think it's a little overcosted at 155. It should probably be like 130. But you might see Goliath Rock Grinders in there. If you have them, put them on the table. They are really cool, and they're not bad. The Icon Ward is pretty interesting at only 50 points. I mean, he does have Deep Strike as well, and he gives the unit Feel No Pain that he leads, so he could lead, all the 3 types. He could lead Hybrid Metamorphs, Neophytes, Acolyte Hybrids. Now, Hybrid Metamorphs, guys, they don't have Battleline. So I specifically didn't mention that, but that's because they don't have it. So now it might matter, but they don't have it because Games Workshop didn't want them to have it and come back on 3-ups. But this guy can summon the cult, this Icon Word man, one for battle. When you have to remove a cult ambush marker because your opponent got too close to it and you have to move it, you can take it and you can just deep strike it somewhere, as long as it's within 12 inches of the Acolyte Icon Word. So that's a pretty good ability for 50 points. If you really needed a cult ambush marker to be around, you can move it. I'm not sure how good it is. Maybe it's bad, but let me know what you think down in the comments below, because I'm pretty sure that's it. There's not a whole lot of units in this army. A lot of them are characters, and most of them suck. But the ones that don't suck really hard. They're celibate, all right? That's how much they don't suck. So I have discussed some of the little tricks they can do. Let's go over some of the strats themselves. So we talked about the one where you can get +1 to wound with 2 different units, and that's in the fight phase or the shooting phase. So that's awesome. But you have other ones, like you have the ability to deep strike a unit within 3 inches of enemies. You can't charge when you do that, but that's so good because you can create a huge wall, or you can just be like, you have that objective? Now I have that objective. That was a fun time. This costs 1 CP. I'm going to spend 1 CP to get 5 points or 4 points this turn, or whatever points you need to get with it. So that's awesome as well. So you're going to see the army playing like this. You're going to see them using their stratagems very often because a lot of their stratagems really just are good for their army. You have a perfect ambush. This gives you an additional +1 to hit. And, well, it increases your ballistic skill by 1 and your armor penetration by 1. So you can pick one of those units of neophytes and make their lasers AP 5. Because they're AP 3 normally, they get +1 because of the Ridge Runner and ignores cover, and then +1 because of the stratagem. The Nexos is giving them +1 to wound for free. Both units. And then you have the Primus giving one of the units full rerolls to hit. You probably at that point don't even need 8 las cannons. You probably only need 4 of them hitting on 3s with full rerolls and +1 to wound, but you get the other one anyway. Next you have 1 with Darkness. This is also just 1 CP. You pick one of your units, it gains stealth. Oh wait, I forgot, there's an extra part here. It gets Lone Operative as well. So in the backfield with your Aberrants, you're like, actually, you can't shoot them because sucks to be you. They now have Lone Op. Come get within 12 of them. Oh, you got within 12 of them? What a bad day for you, because all my army just charged you and killed you. So all of these stratagems are super duper good for their army and allows them to play the game the way that they want to play it. You also have Return to the Shadows. This is pretty much what it sounds like. You get to pick 2 units, put them back into strategic reserve. They have to have deep strike, and they can't be within engagement range, but you know, that's a great ability. It's 1 CP, and you pick 2 units from your army to do this with. And so you've got those backfield 20-man blobs. Great, now they're up in reserve. Next turn, now I'm gonna deep strike a unit within 3 inches of you. I'm gonna take the objective from you. Oh, you killed that unit finally? You churned through that unit? 3 up, come back to life. 1 CP, deep strike them down within 3 inches again. So those are the tricks that you're gonna run into when playing against this army. Let's go over some of their enhancements. Inscrutable Cunning, 30 points, gains Infiltrate, him and his unit. And then on a 4-up, every time you target within the strat, you gain a CP back. Awesome. Meticulous Planner, 40 points, vex your opponent. Yeah, reroll charges, any of your battle tactic strats, +1 now. Same thing as a Calidus Assassin. So those 2 are really, really good as well, and they're going to be used in almost every game. They're probably auto takes. They're 70 points total combined. But when you can give a 20-man unit or some other unit, like Aberrants probably, Infiltrate, that seems pretty nutty to me. You infiltrate these Aberrants right up into their face, and then you roll that dice. And if you go first, you have a great time. Your opponent ends up killing the unit on their turn, because they absolutely have to. 5 up, baby, come back to life. It's a 1/3 chance that you're just gonna get this entire unit back. Combine that with +1 to wound when you charge with them. Now they're strength 8, AP 2, 3 damage flat, +1 to wound. Wounding everything in the game on 4s or better, with sustained hits. Maybe getting that CP back, or maybe getting one of them back on a 4-up. Don't underestimate these guys. Their shooting capacity is high, because with those Ridge Runners, and they're kind of a linchpin, in my opinion, but hey, every army's got one. These things taking away cover and giving you +1 AP is so big. Even on your little guns, it's big. Because if you're shooting this big 20-man blob that you deep struck within 3 inches at some other 20-man blob, you need them to do damage. So if they're +1 to hit and AP 2 with ignores cover on your las guns, well, you just turn them all into 9th edition hotshot las guns. And that is pretty cool. So the Jackal Alphas is actually a good synergizing piece with a shooting build, because if they hit a unit, you get reroll hits of 1 against that enemy unit, and so that's awesome. So now when you're going to get your +1 to hit with your 1 unit, now they're rerolling 1s. The other unit's just rerolling everything, and they're both going to be +1 to wound. They're both going to be +2 AP, and they're both going to be ignoring cover, because they're all shooting the same target. So it's really, really good. It's a ton of damage output from these things, like just from your army in general. From units that are relatively cheap overall. 180 points plus some of the characters, but 180 points, maybe just 2, some Aberrants with a guy attached, and then a bunch of Acolyte hybrids. 3 Ridge Runners, You can definitely put some pretty interesting builds together with this army. And you know what? They're all going to be good because the army is just good. The way it plays is really cool. It's hard, like I said, it's hard to play the right way, hard to play properly, but it's so much fun, and it's just not fun to play against. I absolutely hate it, but at the end of the day, you know, that's kind of just the way it is. Have I ever actually flipped a table? No comment. This army is really cool, like I said at the beginning. It does a lot of really cool tricks. Its units just are so scary because they can just do so much damage. You look at them and then they shoot you, or they do combat to you, and then your head starts spinning. And you're like, holy shit, I've got to do something about that. And then you try to, and the unit dies, and then they come back to life. And then you flip the table over because you're very angry at your opponent for playing Genestealer cults. Because sometimes playing against this army just feels bad. It does a ton of damage to you, you kill the thing that did damage to you, and it just respawns. So if you really want to make your friends angry, in fact, if you want to just lose friends, this is how you lose friends in 40k. That should have been the title of the video. How to lose friends in 40k. Play Genestealer cults. And then when you're done, go play Eldar. And that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for making it to the end here if you're still watching. Be sure to like the video with your gene seed. Subscribe to Theory Hammer. Hit Nurgle's bell icon. And leave a comment down below telling us what you think. What are some of the units that you think are competitive for the Genestealer cult? Did I miss any? I don't know. I'm no expert on them. You let me know down below. Check out our other videos as well. We have all kinds of content. We're trying to make more, and all of the new content that we're coming out with, we're trying to improve the quality of. So check it out. You're going to like it. I like it. You like it. We all like it. I have to go plan a rebellion against the Emperor. So I will see you guys in the next one.